Greetings to everyone. My name is Abhishek Bhardwaj, and my topic is Braj Abridged. So I will be talking about the cultural places of Braj and the cultural tradition associated with it. So my site in Braj is Govardhan. So Govardhan is located around 23 kilometers away from Mathura city in state of Uttar Pradesh. The sacred ridge lies adjacent to state of Rajasthan with a small part of the site falling under the borders of Rajasthan. It is well connected with Mathura Jeev Highway. It is one of the major pilgrimage sites which is visited for performing parikrama and is full of several important religious sites, sacred groves, cones, etc. The parikrama route crosses through several dense settlements like Dan Ghati and also several villages like Radhakund, Anyor, Jatipura, and Punchri, etc. So the Parikrama Marg is also divided into Choti Parikrama and Badi Parikrama, and the pilgrims take halt at Dan Ghati, which is located in the town of Govardhan. So if we look at the section of a hill, we can see that the hill is surrounded by the villages from both sides, be it Jatipura village or the Anur village. So the sacred sites act as the anchor point in the villages of Govardhan. So these sites are the hub of human activity and as well as religious activities performed by the pilgrims. So Govardhan has around 23 major kunds. Some of them are located at the foothills of Govardhan Hill, like Hariji Kund, Govind Kund, while some of them are located away from the hill in the interiors of forests, like Uddhav Kund, Surbhi Kund, etc. And some of them are surrounded by dense human settlements like Radha Kund, Shyam Kund, or Mansi Ganga Kund. So some of the most visited, highly visited sacred sites are the Mansi Ganga Mukharvind temple or the Dan Ghati temple or the Srinathji temple, which is located on the top of the hill. So cones are one of the sacred sites which again which play a very major role in the parikrama process. So these cones are important destination in the parikrama route since the pilgrims perform rituals, ablution or take holy dip in these cones. Not all cones in Govardhan serve as anchor points for activities. The cones of water bodies present inside the sacred groves are devoid of pilgrims and activities performed by pilgrims. It is noteworthy that kunds which are accessible through Parikrama Marg also fail to attract pilgrims despite of their associated sacredness with the Parikrama. So not all kunds and sarovars are considered equally sacred by the pilgrims. Hence, the ritual of bathing or taking holy dip in the kunds is replaced by act of sipping drops or performing yachman from the holy water of the kund. Out of all the kunds in Govardhan, only Mansi Ganga Kund, Radha Kund, Shyam Kund, and Kusum Sarovar attract most of the crowd. So these kunds are also the center of activities like boat rides or devotional meetings, gathering, bhajan sandhyas, or satsang, etc. So Radha Kund is a village named on the Kund itself, and pilgrims come here and perform a separate parikrama of the Kund altogether. So it is a circuit of it's a circuit revolving around the Kund, Radha Kund, where pilgrims perform this parikrama, and on the banks of the Kunds are located some of the important temples like Manipur Maharaja Mandir or Mahaprabhu Batak, which even marks as the seat of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who came to Govardhan and meditated for years. And and along the Parikrama Marg, there are several shops and houses located, which actually play an integral role in the Parikrama purposes by serving the pilgrims. So out of all the kunds in Govardhan, like Mansi Ganga Kund or Radha Kund, they attract most of the crowd. However, the large footfall at Mansi Ganga Kund and Radha Kund is the result of their highly sacred value associated with parikrama. Hence, pilgrims prefer taking holy dips mostly in these kunds. over other kunds of Govardhan. Even in the evenings at kunds which are surrounded by temples, aartis are performed by the priests. So in the evening time, people gather on the ghats of these kunds and even for religious or recreational purposes. So most of these villages lack places where people can visit for recreational purposes. So most of these holy spaces, these sacred sites act as like the anchor points for other human activity. So the ponds like Mansi Ganga Pond or Radha Pond and Lalita Pond are seen sprawling with human activities in the evening time, while on the contrary side, Kusum Sarovar witnesses no such religious ritual or aarti in the evening time, because visitors frequent the Sarovar in the evening times due to its beautiful lighting and the monumental structure. So sacred groves are another sacred sites, considered as another sacred site in villages of Govardhan. So the local custom of Govardhan are deeply rooted in the beliefs of considering everything from flora, fauna, rock to water body as embodiment of God or divine power. As also mentioned in the text of Mathura Mahatmya, a very sacred text giving instructions to the pilgrim about how to perform parikrama in a rightful manner. So the trees of this region, particularly those from important sacred groves, are widely worshipped by the pilgrims. The Kadam one near Jatipura village is a sacred grove that finds several mentions in religious texts and is also present today. So sites like Survi Kund, Indra Kund, and Airavata Kund are also present inside Kadam One forest. It is also believed that these forests serve as meeting places for Radha and Krishna, and a pair of Kadam and Tamal trees symbolizes pair of Radha and Krishna. So the pair of Tamal and Kadam trees present in the Ras Sthali near Punchri are believed to date back 5,000 years ago and are said to have witnessed the Rasa Leela dance. As per local beliefs, people believe that Lord Krishna is said to have performed his Ras Leela episodes in the sacred groves of Govardhan. So currently, the sacred groves are no longer part of any human activities or cultural rituals as such, except pilgrims passing through the parikrama or performing parikrama or passing through the course of parikrama visit these sacred groves. Although some sacred groves have become venues for vendors who sit inside these groves to offer their services or pilgrims or even for beggars who continue begging inside the forest. So wells are considered as another sacred site in Govardhan. So in Indian customs, wells are not only regarded as source of water but home of spirits, which can be revered based on the associated legend or folklore. So in the Braj region, some religious ceremony which are related to wedding or birth of a child are carried out on the well. So the processions of singing women perform these rituals at the well and make offerings to the deity of a well. However, many wells in Braj region which have been mentioned in the text find relevance in the legends of Krishna. So pilgrims are also instructed to visit these wells as part of the parikrama process. One such well is also called Gopi Kua, which is located in Radhakund village. So this well is believed to be the source of origination of Govardhan's tongue. Hence, it is also called Giriraj Jiva Prakat Sthali by the locals. So the well today, this Kopikwa well today is not functional and it actually remains as an important landmark in the Radhakund Parikrama. So despite of its sacred value, the well remains even encroached by the vendors who sit around it. So the platform around the well is also occupied to place deity by the local people. So this is the Gopi Kua, which has been occupied by a tent. So there are also some functional wells which are still used by the people to fetch water. So these are the examples of well from Anur village and from Jatipura village, where people still use these wells to fetch water, and the process of fetching water by the village women or other people is also a kind of activity, since is also kind of a public activity, as people gather around the well, they sit around the well, and there are also temples located around the well. So people come and perform their rituals or their worships around the well. So there are also some well in Radhapur village which have been now covered with a slab to create a platform. So this is one such example. So these wells now serve as a platform where local people or pilgrims sit during their journey. While some wells are still functional in villages of Jatipur and Anya. So some of these well are ancient, but they don't find any mention in the legends of Krishna or folklore. So they act as a religious anchor point, or maybe or used for the cultural activities of performing uh, rituals during childbirth or wedding. So Samadhi Baithak or Bhajan Kutir is another typology of sacred sites in Govardhan. So the saints who visited Braj and meditated are often referred as manifestations of Krishna, the Lord Himself, or even Radha, and their holy companions, or any central figure in the legends of Ras Leela. Like Saint Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is also thought as an embodiment of Krishna, or Swami Haridas as as a personification of Radha's closest ally Lalita Sakhi, and Saint Nityanand as avatar of Balrama, Krishna's brother. So these celebrated saints, devotees, or poets are memorialized in the existing landscape of Braj by erecting a shrine or a samadhi dedicated to them. Usually, a samadhi contains holy ashes of the figure or footprints of these figures etched into the slab enclosed in a raised platform covered with a cupola or a chhatri on a cap. This practice of venerating dead devotees provides a tangible historical marker for local people and pilgrims, which actually helps them to connect between the historical past of Govardhan with the legends of Krishna. So usually a samadhi contains holy ashes of the figure, and footprints of the revered figure are etched into the slab, enclosed in a raised platform covered with a cupola or a chhatri on a top. So these are the examples of samadhis, several samadhis or chhatris which are located across villages of Govardhan. So a bhajan kuti can be described as a small abode or a hut where these residing saints practice their love for Krishna or used to chant holy names. Similarly, Baithaks mark the space where saints used to sit and preach their teachings or give their sermons or created their devotional compositions on Krishna. So the Baithak, Samadhi and Bhajan Kuti shrines are an important place in Parikrama circuit, and pilgrims are even obliged to pay their respects to such places. So some traditions and customs further consolidate the acts of encroachment in Govardhan Parikrama. Like stones of sacred Govardhan hill are worshipped across Braj. So villagers from Anur and Jatipura, they extract the stones from the hill, which is actually religiously also not appropriate. So they extract these stones from the hill, and they set up temporary or even permanent shrines adjacent to their homes or even at the base of the hill in order to raise money from the donations or gather offerings which pilgrims make to the deity. So as a result, several shrines have mushroomed up on the edge of the sacred hill. So or even along the Parikrama road, or even inside the sacred groves. So the act of inscribing epitaph stone in the memory of deceased is also practiced at Govardhan. So we can see sanctuary of epitaph stones or memorials built along the Parikrama path, especially in Radhakund village. So these memorials take up a significant stretch of Parikrama path, which is already very narrow, and pilgrims have to pass through the congested settlement of Radhakund village. So encroachment is one of the major problem in the villages of Govardhan. The sacred sites of Govardhan have been like heavily encroached due to lack of protection or delineation of a boundary wall to segregate the sacred hill from the surroundings. However, at the time of the site visit, the hill and its surrounding forests were actually protected by a recently constructed boundary wall with gates and restricted entry. Still, there were several points in the site which were not protected by the boundary wall, and most of them were located in the Rajasthan state. Since Dan Ghati is the point where the ridge terminates between Badi and Choti Parikrama, so due to absence of ridge at Dan Ghati, it serves as the ideal spot for human settlement, and this is where the maximum population is located, and this is the most urbanized part from the longest time. So there are several memorial or monuments in Govardhan village which have now been encroached by the locals. So one of the example is the memorial cenotaph of Bharatpur Maharaja, and it has been recognized by the state archaeological department. And but still, the nobody is allowed to enter the premises because there are local people who stay there, and they don't allow anyone to enter the premises. And despite of its beauty and splendor of architecture, nobody or even the pilgrims are not allowed to visit this place. So over the time, the religious narrative of Govardhan is fading away, and due to the loss of the sacred sites, and also the lack of consciousness and the lack of sacredness between the locals. So Govardhan primarily functions as a pilgrimage town of Braj region. So over the years, the sacredness of place has been widely illustrated and glorified in the several texts in all sects of Hinduism, but there is a lack of awareness about the existing heritage and the sacred value of this place amongst the locals. So with every passing generations, the tradition of venerating all things considered sacred in Govardhan is actually fading. The locals are not even aware about the sacred sites which are located in adjacent to them, and they have no clue about the historicity of these places. Like for example, the sacred Banu Khor, which is a small lake at Govardhan, is now being used as a dumping ground. Although Banukhor has a very sacred value and is also included in the parikrama as an important landmark in the parikrama, but still it is being used as a dumping ground by the locals. So Banukhor is also said to be a site visited by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu during his stay at Govardhan. Also, a lot of these pilgrims, they are themselves responsible for disposing waste or creating waste on the site. Although the Govardhan Hill is considered sacred, but pilgrims can be seen disposing the waste on the parikrama marg itself. So now concluding the entire presentation, the current site of Govardhan Hill falls under two states of Uttar Pradesh and Rajasthan. The large part is maintained by the state of Uttar Pradesh, and a very small part of Govardhan Parikrama route comes under Rajasthan near the Punchini village. The interstate jurisdiction of one pilgrimage site actually causes disparity in development of infrastructure and protection of sacred sites. While Uttar Pradesh government has already demarcated and erected a boundary wall around the Govardhan Hill, The portion of hill which lies in the state of Rajasthan is still unprotected and neglected. The major activities in Govardhan are largely influenced by the parikrama. All the management of pilgrimage falls over the Nagar Panchayat and the Gram Panchayat of Govardhan, which currently is unequipped for preserving the local heritage or to sustain the pilgrimage across all villages of Govardhan, which are further divided in interstate boundaries. So, in order to resolve the discrepancy between developmental activities and to save the time of acquiring clearances from different bodies of two states, it is important to form one development trust or a shrine board for entire hill. Formation of this one body should be dedicated to all the developmental works planned for the site of Govardhan in both the states. So this can make the process of ecological conservation of Govardhan Hill more smooth and less chaotic for the coming future. So thank you for patient hearing.